Honourable John Ajaka.
I rise to speak in opposition of this motion. Now, when I use the words "this motion," it has to be remembered that the motion that was put on the business paper by the honourable member on 24 May 2012 is, of course, not the motion we're now debating, because that has been, of course, amended. And I'll come to the issue of the original motion and the amendment a little later on, because I think it is very important to be able to canvass the absolute difference between what was originally put to this chamber and what's being debated today. Madam Deputy President, I do welcome this motion. I welcome this motion on infrastructure delivery because it does give us an opportunity to congratulate the O'Farrell government in relation to community grants. The New South Wales Liberals and Nationals support infrastructure. It is for this reason that we have committed to the Community Building Partnership. In fact, we have committed $90 million over a 4-year period. Now, the relevance of the 4-year period is this. Unlike the previous government, the Labor government, their concept of a community building partnership was they would simply determine it each year for the 1 year, giving no thought or consideration in relation to future grants. In other words, the message they send out to the community is this year we will provide you with a grant, but there is no guarantee or obligation to continue with that grant in the future. And that's the difference between the then Labor government and the O'Farrell government of today. Because we believe that for all of these communities to be in a position to properly survive, to be in a position to take the best route available to them, is to know what funding will be available over a 4-year period. Let's look at the last days of the Keneally government.
Oh, please no. That's torture.
This is a very serious issue, so what happened was this. Money was thrown at communities with no consideration whatsoever as to the long-term effect, so that they could buy votes. That was the reality of it. It was as simple as that. They wanted to buy votes in their last days. They were desperate. So, instead of sitting there and planning for a 4-year program, with sufficient funding being provided for each and every year that these organisations could rely upon and forward plan for the 4-year period, what did they do? We'll just throw lots of money at them for the first year. The money will run out. We'll extend the budget. They can worry about it the second and third year. And we, of course, come to government and we have to clean up that mess. And that's what we do. We clean up that mess by providing a budget of $90 million over a 4-year period. That's exactly what we do. Would you like to put that on record, what you just said? What you just called me? No, you called me an idiot first, and I take exception to that. And I'm surprised that a former president would have such an attitude. I really am. It's very disappointing that a former president would do that. No? Obviously, I've hit a nerve, Madam Deputy President. Obviously, I've hit a nerve. Because they just can't accept the truth of the situation. They can't accept the truth. Right? We've only got to look at the last election for the seat of Rockdale. The Honourable Shaukat Musulmani talks about the seat of Rockdale. Right? He talks about the seat of Rockdale, the community of Rockdale. Well, what happened at the last election? I'll tell you what happened at the last election. A 14% swing from the Labor Party to the Liberals. The election of John Flowers, Liberal, member for Rockdale. Now, if the sitting member of Rockdale, the then Honourable Frank Sartor, if the sitting member of Rockdale had in fact provided for his community, had looked after his community, had the, and we'll start with the Carr government, Yammer government, Rees government and Keneally government, looked after the community of Rockdale, do you honestly believe there would have been a 14% swing to John Flowers? Huh? And now today, the people of Rockdale will benefit from the leadership of their member, John Flowers. And what's the response?
I can't hear this wonderful...
The Honourable Matthew Mason Cox.
The Honourable John Ajaka, because of all the noise outside the chamber. Can you please tell them to be quiet?
I'll take the Honourable Amanda Fazio to the point of order.
My point of order is bigger than your point of order.
To lower the tone. Madam Deputy President, my point of order is that if the Parliamentary Secretary wasn't so blatantly misleading the House about these matters, people on our side wouldn't be provoked to respond.
Thank you. I will take this opportunity to remind members on both sides of the chamber that interjections are disorderly at all times and the member should be heard in silence.
Thank you, Madam Deputy President. So what's the response of the opposition? As usual, nothing but negative rhetoric and fear campaigns. And that's what the purpose of this motion was. That is the exact purpose of this motion. Remembering that I'll come to what the original motion was and what the subsequent amended motion today that's being debated. Unlike those opposite, the New South Wales and Liberals believe in local communities. Again, this is why a 14% swing from Labor to the Liberal Party at the last state election, because of the failure to deliver by the previous Labor government. We only even have to go from, only what, a short period, September last year, to also look at the recent council election at Rockdale. A major swing to the Liberal Party. 6 elected councillors, and from my understanding, first time in history, 6 elected
the Honourable Amanda
councillors.
on a point of order.
Madam Deputy President, I concede, my point of order is on relevance, I concede that the Honourable Shaket Musselman highlighted the damaging impact of this policy on the electorate of Rockdale. He did not mention anything to do with the local government elections. Therefore, I'd ask you to direct the Honourable John Ajaka to confine his remarks to the motion before the House and not just rave on about anything that comes to mind as long as he throws Rockdale in.
On the point of order, Madam Deputy.
The Honourable John Ajaka to the point of order.
I find the argument that what I'm saying is not relevant to the motion extraordinary. One only has to look at the motion, the one part that actually wasn't amended by the Honourable Shaukat Mousselmani, and the vast majority of the motion talks about Rockdale. The vast majority of his speech in support of the motion talks about Rockdale. I believe, at the very least, I'm being generally relevant, if not specifically relevant.
Yes, I am listening very carefully to the contribution of the Honourable John Ajaka, and I believe at this point he is being generally relevant.
Thank you, Madam Deputy President.
Wasting our time, but he's generally...
Thank you, Madam Deputy President.
You're wasting your time bringing the motion on.
Madam Deputy President.
We're speaking up on behalf of the committee, unlike you. Too busy brown-nosing to get it.
Order! If the Honourable Amanda Fazio and the Honourable Matthew Mason Cox would like to have a conversation, they can go outside.
No, thank you.
Madam Deputy President, infrastructure like communities has a great and positive impact on the day-to-day lives of individuals, whether it be assisting community groups or in some cases providing jobs to deliver the infrastructure. It all makes a difference. In 2011, the New South Wales Liberals and Nationals Community Building Partnership had requests that exceeded $152 million, a significant increase over the $118 million sought in the previous program under the previous Labor government. This is a sign that New South Wales is open to business, especially in areas such as Rockdale. With this high level of community interest, it is positive that New South Wales Liberals and Nationals are continuing to fund this important infrastructure program. Madam Deputy President, I'm happy to read out to the House those successful community organisations that received grants in Rockdale under and John Flowers as the local MP. $17,400 for San Susie Girl Guide Hall, $105,000 for Carl Park Sport Ground floodlighting, $12,800 for Hillshurst Reserve, shade structure over existing playground, $50,000 for Pemberton Reserve, playground and park furniture upgrade, $40,000 for Peter Depner Reserve shelter refurbishment and new path, $8,000 for erection of safety perimeter fencing at local sporting field, $21,000 for the Banksia Scout Group, replace the roof, $19,735 for improving disability access and outdoor functionality of the Arncliffe Community Centre, $10,000 for St George PCYC meeting room, floor restoration, $11,920 for installation of security fencing at Sunny Haven Limited, $4,145 for Arncliffe YMCA for the visually representing a welcoming community place. The Liberal National Government, the O'Farrell Government, encourages community organisations to apply for grants when they open again shortly, remembering that it was a 4-year grant period of $90 million. This is a wonderful opportunity to give something back to the community. And I do commend the excellent and continued work of the member for Rockdale, John Flowers, in his strong support of the Community Building Partnership. Madam Deputy President, can I look at what the wording of the original motion was in May of this year and now compare it to what we had before us? Look at the first paragraph of the original motion. 1A, that this House, 1A, condemns the O'Farrell Government for their planned abolition of the Community Building Partnership grants.
That's right.
I acknowledge the interjection of the government whip. It was wrong. It was wrong. But again, part of the fear tactics of the Labor Party, let's just tell everybody that the grants were abolished. Wrong. No. Wrong. But it's been on the business paper. That's how it was presented. Let's look at part 2 of the original motion. That this House calls on the O'Farrell Government to ensure that the Community Building Partnership grants are maintained in the upcoming budget. Well, we did better than that. We provided grants for a period of 4 years of $90 million. So again, it was wrong. So what does he replace it with, Madam Deputy President? He replaces it with that now we condemn the O'Farrell Government for their cuts to the Community Building Partnership program. But he doesn't indicate that what we've actually done is set in concrete 4 years for the community grants. That's what the budget contains, $90 million for 4 years. So this is not just a matter of we'll tell you what we're going to give you next year and we'll think about it the year after and maybe we don't know what's going to happen then. It depends on whether, as the Labor government like to do it, it's a buying of votes situation, which I might add in Rockdale completely failed. Because, again, the 14% swing showed that the people of Rockdale were not gullible to fall for a stunt of that nature. So that's the reality of it, Madam Deputy President. Finally, I note that the Honourable Shaukat Musulmani read 2 letters. And if I'm correct, one from the Anglican Church and one from Rockdale Council. I'm not aware of the dates, but I can only assume the Rockdale Council letter, of course, was at a time when you had a Labor mayor at Rockdale Council. So let's look at it this way. He reads the letters that he receives from them, but he doesn't first read the letter that he sent to them. We don't know what he actually said in his letter to them.
The Honourable Shaukat Musulman on a point of order.
Madam Deputy President, the member is misleading the House. He's making assumptions on information that he doesn't even know about. So you should ask him. Madam Deputy President, he is misleading the House by making assumptions, and that is incorrect.
On the point of order,
the Honourable John Ajaka.
Shaukat Musulmani's own words were, I'm reading a letter in response to my correspondence. The letters themselves say, thank you for writing to us, and he reads their letters. It can't be more self-evident than that. I'm not misleading the House. I know that I've only got a short time, Madam Deputy President. So to sum up this.
Madam Deputy President.
I don't uphold the point of order. The member may continue.
Madam Deputy President, the point is this. Right? We don't know what was said in the Honourable Shaukat Musulmani's letters for the letters that came back. If one assumes that the letter simply said your grants are going to be cut, then obviously you would expect responses of that nature.
Order. The honourable member's time has expired.
Thanks for wasting my time.
The Honourable Scott